Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, I am going to be teaming up with Ashley and her husband Steven from Henson Home Furnishings. Ashley reached out to me asking if I wanted to do a collab, and I said sure, why not? We're both fairly new to YouTube. Our channels have only been up a couple months, and we're both furniture painters, so we figured we would support each other and do our first collab together. So she came up with the idea that we would use the same products on two different pieces of furniture and compare how the looks came out. So the two products that we're going to be using is Country Chic in Sage Advice. I have used Country Chic paint in the past. I've never used this color, so it's really pretty green, so that'll be fun. And then she also said that we should do a transfer. So we are using Redesign with Prima in the Ruby Rose. I've never done a transfer, so this is a new to me product. So be sure to stick around to see how my interpretation comes out of the product, and be sure to head over to Ashley and Steven's channel. I will link their video below so you can go check it out once you're done with mine. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. This is what I'll be working on in today's video. It's an all wood vintage vanity. It was gifted to me from family, so shout out to Terry for that. There was originally a mirror that went in the center, but it was broken, the little hinges were, so I decided to make some modifications. I started by removing this back center board. My original idea was to cut these pointy tops off just at the top shelf. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that, and then using my jigsaw, I'm going to attempt to cut that top off. As you can see, I'm definitely struggling. The desk is moving and straight lines are hard. I shouldn't be allowed to have power tools. After the jigsaw cut failed, I just abandoned that whole idea and decided to take everything off the top, and I'm sanding the top of the vanity completely down to bare wood. Because I have the patience of a toddler, I just took a hammer to remove all the rest of the top of that vanity, and in that process I accidentally broke off a piece of the back. So just using some Gorilla Glue, I'm going to go ahead and glue that piece that broke off back on and clamp it down to dry overnight. I'm putting some frog tape on my clamps just in case any of that glue oozes out. That way it won't stick to the clamp, it'll just stick to the tape and I can peel that off in the morning. Using some wood filler, I'm just going to fill in any imperfections or gouges. After that dries, I'll sand it smooth. I had to make new backs for the back of the little drawers that go on the top, and we saw my cutting skills, so I had my boyfriend cut those out for me, and I'm just gluing and clamping those on, and I'll also let those sit and dry overnight. I forgot to hit record, but I did clean this entire piece with a TSP substitute prior to taping off the edges. Using my Zinsser shellac-based primer, I'm applying one full coat on the entire piece just using a chip brush. This is knotty pine, and knots do tend to bleed, so I just wanted to seal that in. When doing desks or tables or anything like this, I do prefer to start with them upside down. That way you can really get into all the crevices and make sure you fully coat all the legs. I repeated the same process with the primer on all the little drawers and cubbies for the entire piece. I set it up on these little painter pyramids so that I could get the top without having to worry about the bottom or any edges sticking to the cardboard below. Like I stated in my intro, Ashley and I agreed to use Country Chic in the color Sage Advice. I'm applying this on with my Zebra triangle brush. This is the second time I've used this brush, and it's quickly becoming one of my favorites. I did a total of 3 coats on the entire vanity. I highly recommend this brush, especially for table legs or spindles. The little triangle shape really gets into all those grooves and gives you full coverage.
Talking to each other, I know we feel the same about the situation, like we're stuck inside a game. Time to get out of this circle, yeah, we both carry a scar. Let's rewrite the part we're playing, time to cherish who we are. The only thing I ever wanted starts with us taking the chance. not like anything we've done before. Yeah. Now it's time for something better, and time for us to follow our dreams.
After that first coat dried, I decided to go ahead and flip it over onto its top again to do the second and third coats, just so I could get under that lip and make sure I didn't miss any of those other little groove details that are along the legs.
All colors will fade. Let's go our own way. Now's the time to decide what to do, and I'll stand by you.
While my paint is drying, I'm going to go ahead and clean my hardware. I boil it in white distilled vinegar. You just drop it in, let it boil for a few minutes, and then after that, using some tongs, since it'll be hot, go ahead and take it out and drop it onto a paper towel. Do not use good dish rags, it will ruin your rags. And I'm just going to scrub these up with a rough nylon brush.
When you walk out of the doorway.
Usually the vinegar boil works really well, but these were really tarnished, so I went ahead and added some Brasso and just let them sit for a while before I scrubbed that up, and then it seemed to clean it up pretty well.
Yeah. Now it's time for something better.
Here's a before and after. The little handles and knobs cleaned up really well with the vinegar. Just the back plate needed some Brasso, but that's one set completely clean and one set that has not been cleaned yet. I wanted to do something different than just solid paint for the top, and since we didn't have stain in our two products to use, I decided to try a paint wash for the first time. Originally, I mixed a little bit of paint with some water in that glass, and it just came out too watery. There wasn't enough color. So then I decided to dip my brush into the water and then dip it into the paint and just spread it out from there. After that, I just wiped it back in sections, and I just repeated the process over and over until I got the amount of color that I wanted and was still being able to see the wood grain through. I am using my Country Chic 1.5 inch oval brush for this.
Just like it was meant to be. Yeah. Come run away, don't be afraid, we'll be okay, and I know it's the right thing to do.
Originally, I thought I wanted to paint wash the edges of the top, but I then changed my mind and wanted to actually have full coverage. So using my triangle brush and a detail brush, I went ahead and painted around the edges of the top. Once all three coats were dry, I went in with a sanding sponge. I used a couple different grits, all the way from 80 up to 220, and then just distress the areas. I like the corners, anything that has any detail. I try to avoid distressing flat areas as it does not look natural. I use the same distressing process on all the drawer fronts to get those little edges and details and corners.
Let me be honest.
The next step would have been to apply the transfer, but I failed at reading the directions until the last minute, and apparently you need to wait 48 hours up to a week for the paint to fully dry. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and top coat using my General Finishes Flat Out Flat on the legs and all the areas that I know that I'm not going to be putting any of the transfer onto, so that I have another 24 hours for the paint to fully dry.
All of the time.
If you've seen my past videos, you know that I like to use a small detail brush to apply my top coat on these small areas just to avoid any extra buildup of product.
I need somebody to love.
I'm going to reattach the drawers to the top using some Gorilla Wood glue. I'll set those on there and put a heavy book on the top of it to let it dry overnight. The next morning I will flip it back and I will add some additional nails underneath to secure that in place.
I don't know.
Now it's finally time to apply the transfer. Wiping back the area with the microfiber cloth, I know that it's clean. I went out and cut out to size the section that I wanted. I just peeled back the white backing and I'm sticking it on to exactly where I want it. Gonna rub it in place, and then using the little wood stick that comes with the transfer, you're just gonna burnish it in place. Be sure to go slow and slowly peel up to see if you need to go back over a section so that you don't rip it all off. I do have this sped up 1,000 times. It took me about 10 minutes to complete this little section. This was my first time though doing this.
But this time, girl, I know what's bothering me. I need somebody to love. Oh, nah, 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 nah. Don't you see what's wrong with me? I need somebody to love. Oh.
Now that I have all my transfers on, I'm going to use General Finishes Flat Out Flat Top Coat with my Zebra Palm Brush and apply 2 full coats to the remaining sections of the Vanity that I did not already top coat. When top coating over a transfer, you want to be sure that your top coat is water-based. You do not want to use an oil-based product for this. And here is the completed look. This could definitely still be a vanity, it could be a desk, or even like an entryway table. I went ahead and added the hardware, and I did line the drawers off camera. I'll be sure to link in the description box below all the products and tools and everything that I used throughout this video. As always, feel free to leave any questions in the comments below. Be sure to head over to Ashley and Steven's channel at Henson Home Furnishings. I'll link that below so you can see what they did with the same products. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more makeovers, and I will see you guys next time.